The habit of burying bones is a fascinating behavior that stems from a combination of instinct, genetic inheritance, protective tendencies, and even entertainment. Despite being domesticated, dogs carry the DNA of their wild ancestors, such as wolves and other primitive canids. This behavior is deeply rooted in survival instincts, environmental adaptation, and emotional needs. Instinctive roots, the legacy of wild ancestors. Modern dogs owe much of their behavior to the survival instincts of their wild ancestors, such as wolves and jackals. These predators lived in environments where food sources were unpredictable, and survival often depended on their ability to secure and preserve resources. Food was not always plentiful, and a successful hunt could mean the difference between survival and starvation. To prepare for periods of scarcity, these animals developed the habit of storing food for future consumption. One of the most effective ways to do this was by burying leftover meat or bones. By burying their food, these wild canids ensured its safety from potential threats in their environment. The buried food was less likely to be discovered and stolen by rival predators, such as birds of prey, large felines, or other canids competing for the same resources. In addition to protecting food from external threats, burying it also safeguarded it from members of their own pack. While wolves and similar species often live and hunt cooperatively, food competition was still a harsh reality in situations of limited supply. Hiding food underground was a way to ensure that the animal had a personal reserve that others could not access. Another crucial advantage of this behavior was preservation. The soil acted as a natural refrigerator, helping to keep the buried food cool and protected from environmental conditions like heat or humidity, which could accelerate decay. It also shielded the food from insects, which might infest or contaminate it if left exposed. Moreover, burying food masked its scent, making it harder for scavengers and other predators to locate it. Even though modern dogs no longer need to hunt or save food for survival, this instinct remains hardwired into their behavior. The act of burying bones, toys, or treats is not merely a playful quirk. It is a legacy of survival strategies honed over thousands of years. Domestication may have changed their living conditions, but these deeply ingrained instincts still influence their actions. Protection and ownership. One of the most prominent reasons dogs bury bones or objects is their natural sense of ownership. Dogs, like their ancestors, have an instinct to protect what they perceive as valuable, whether it is food, a toy, or another cherished item. This behavior is deeply tied to their survival instincts and territorial nature, even in the safety of a modern home. When a dog buries a bone, it is essentially safeguarding it from perceived threats, whether real or imagined. While a domesticated dog might not face competition from predators, it still has an innate drive to prevent others, including humans, from taking its prized possession. This instinct is particularly strong in dogs that have grown up in environments where resources were limited or where they experience competition for food or toys with other pets. Beyond protection, burying objects is also a way for dogs to mark their territory. When a dog selects a spot to bury something, it is carefully choosing a location that feels safe and secure. This is not a random act. Dogs will sniff the ground extensively, evaluating the area before committing to the spot. Once they are satisfied, they dig with their paws to create a hiding place, place the bone or item inside, and then push the dirt back over it. Often, they use their noses to pack the dirt tightly, completing the ritual with meticulous care. This process demonstrates not only their instinct for protection, but also their incredible attention to detail and problem-solving abilities. The care they put into selecting the right spot and ensuring the object is well hidden is evidence of their innate desire to safeguard their belongings. Even in cases where they may not need to bury items for survival, the behavior persists as a way of expressing their natural protective tendencies. For some dogs, the act of burying is less about practicality and more about ritual. Even in homes where they are well-fed and lack competition, dogs will still go through the motions of burying bones or toys. This behavior serves as a connection to their ancestral instincts and as a way to express their unique personalities and emotional needs. Instinct for future planning. Although we don't usually think of dogs as strategic planners, the behavior of burying bones reveals an innate ability to prepare for future needs. This instinct dates back to their wild ancestors, who lived in unpredictable environments where food shortages were common. These early canids developed behaviors to help them survive during periods of scarcity, and one of the most effective strategies was storing food for later use. When a dog buries a bone, it is acting on a deeply rooted instinct to save resources it doesn't immediately need. This behavior is particularly evident when a dog has an abundance of food or treats. Instead of consuming everything at once, it feels an innate drive to store the excess for a later time when food might not be as readily available. This ability to think ahead, although not conscious in the way humans plan, is an evolutionary trait that ensured survival in their ancestors. In the wild, this behavior was vital. Burying food allowed early canids to create reserves for days when hunting was unsuccessful or prey was scarce. By digging and hiding food underground, they could ensure it was preserved, protected from scavengers, and accessible when needed. Even though domesticated dogs now live in environments where food is regularly provided, this planning instinct remains intact. Interestingly, the act of burying isn't always about immediate utility. In some cases, dogs seem to bury items even when they already have more than enough food. This suggests that the behavior is not only about survival, but also about fulfilling an instinctive need to prepare for uncertainty. Dogs, like their wild ancestors, are wired to expect fluctuations in their environment, and burying bones is a way to create a sense of security against potential future shortages. Emotional factors behind the behavior. While the act of burying bones or other objects is often driven by instinct, it can also be influenced by emotional factors. For many dogs, this behavior serves as an outlet for various feelings, ranging from boredom to anxiety, and reflects how deeply emotions can shape their actions. Boredom is one of the most common reasons dogs engage in burying behavior. Dogs are highly intelligent and active animals that require both mental and physical stimulation to stay happy and healthy. When they don't receive enough exercise, playtime, or interaction with their environment, they may turn to instinctual activities like digging or hiding objects as a way to entertain themselves. This behavior becomes a form of self-soothing, allowing them to release pent-up energy and feel a sense of accomplishment. Anxiety or stress is another emotional trigger that can drive dogs to bury objects. Changes in their environment, such as moving to a new home, the arrival of a new pet or family member, or even shifts in their daily routine, can create feelings of uncertainty. In such cases, burying items may serve as a coping mechanism. The act of hiding something valuable gives the dog a sense of control and security, helping it manage its stress. Excess resources also play a role in this behavior. When dogs receive more food, treats, or toys than they can handle, they may feel overwhelmed by the abundance. Instead of ignoring the surplus, they instinctively hide it. This ensures that nothing goes to waste and aligns with their ancestral drive to store resources for leaner times. This behavior is especially noticeable in dogs that are given treats they love but aren't hungry enough to eat immediately. They'll often carry the treat around before finding a safe spot to bury it. Ultimately, emotional factors can intertwine with instinct to influence how and why dogs bury items. While the behavior may seem puzzling to humans, it reflects the complex interplay between their inherited instincts and their emotional responses to their environment. Curious fact: not all dogs dig them back up. One of the most intriguing aspects of burying behavior is that not all dogs actually return to retrieve the items they've hidden. In many cases, the act of burying appears to be more symbolic or instinctual than practical. While wild canids like wolves buried food with the intention of retrieving it during times of need, domesticated dogs often bury bones, toys, or treats without any apparent plan to dig them back up later. This can happen for a variety of reasons. For some dogs, the act of burying satisfies a deeply ingrained instinct that has been passed down through generations. Even if the stored item is never retrieved, the dog experiences a sense of fulfillment simply from performing the act. The ritual itself, selecting a spot, digging, placing the item, and covering it, is enough to satisfy their instinctual drive. In other cases, dogs may forget where they buried their treasure. Unlike their wild ancestors, who relied on this behavior for survival and likely had a sharper memory for their hiding spots, modern dogs live in environments where their basic needs are consistently met. As a result, the urgency to remember the location of their buried items has diminished, and the behavior has taken on a more symbolic or playful role. This shift reflects how domestication has changed the purpose of certain behaviors. While burying was once a critical survival strategy, it has now become more of a ritual or pastime for many dogs. The fact that not all buried items are retrieved highlights how deeply instinctive behaviors can persist, even when they no longer serve their original purpose. It's a fascinating reminder of the connection between modern dogs and their wild ancestors, showcasing the enduring influence of evolutionary history on their behavior. How this behavior manifests in domestic environments. Even though modern dogs no longer need to bury food to survive, the instinct remains deeply ingrained in their behavior, manifesting in various forms within domestic settings. Without the survival pressures of their wild ancestors, dogs adapt this behavior to their modern environment, often in creative and sometimes amusing ways. For instance, dogs living in homes with access to outdoor spaces may naturally gravitate toward digging holes in the yard, whether or not they intend to hide anything. The act of digging itself is deeply satisfying for dogs, as it mimics the motions their ancestors used when burying food or creating a safe space for rest. In many cases, dogs will dig without any specific purpose beyond fulfilling this instinct. However, when they do have an object like a bone or toy they want to protect, they may carefully choose a spot, dig a hole, place the item inside, and cover it back up, often with surprising precision. For dogs that live primarily indoors or lack access to outdoor spaces, this instinct to bury doesn't disappear. It simply evolves to fit their surroundings. Many dogs will bury items indoors by improvising with the resources available to them. Sofas, pillows, blankets, laundry piles, or even rugs often become their chosen burial grounds. For example, a dog might nudge a toy or treat into the folds of a blanket or under a cushion, mimicking the act of burying even though no soil is involved. The motions, pushing, nudging, and covering, are remarkably similar to how they would behave outdoors. Some dogs take this behavior even further, hiding items in unexpected places around the house. It's not uncommon to find treats tucked into shoes, toys stuffed behind furniture, or bones wedged into tight spaces. These creative hiding spots reveal the dog's instinctive drive to safeguard what they value, even in a completely safe and controlled domestic environment. The environment plays a significant role in how this behavior manifests. For dogs with access to a yard, the outdoors provides a natural outlet for their instincts. They may develop favorite spots for hiding items, often returning to the same areas repeatedly. In contrast, indoor dogs will rely on household items as substitutes for soil, improvising with whatever is available to satisfy their instinct to hide and protect. This behavior can vary widely among dogs, with some showing only mild tendencies to hide objects and others exhibiting it more frequently or intensely. Regardless of the setting or the extent of the behavior, these actions are a fascinating glimpse into the way dogs adapt their ancestral instincts to modern life. How to manage or redirect this behavior. While burying bones or objects is generally harmless and even endearing, it can become problematic if it leads to excessive digging, damage to property, or frustration for the owner. Fortunately, there are effective ways to manage or redirect this behavior without suppressing the dog's natural instincts. One of the most effective strategies is providing plenty of physical and mental stimulation. Dogs are intelligent and active animals that thrive when they have opportunities to expend their energy and engage their minds. Regular walks, games of fetch, or interactive toys like puzzle feeders can help alleviate boredom and reduce the urge to dig or bury excessively. By keeping a dog physically and mentally stimulated, owners can address one of the root causes of this behavior: lack of activity. Another way to manage this behavior is by being mindful of the dog's access to treats, bones, or toys. When dogs are given more resources than they need, their natural instinct is to hide the excess rather than leave it unused. Avoid overloading a dog with too many treats or bones at once, as this can trigger their need to save the surplus. Offering these items in moderation ensures the dog enjoys them without feeling the compulsion to bury or hide them. Supervision and redirection are also valuable tools for managing this behavior. If a dog begins to dig in an undesired location or starts hiding objects in furniture, owners can gently interrupt the behavior and redirect the dog's attention to something else. For example, calling the dog's name, offering a favorite toy, or initiating a game can effectively shift their focus and prevent unwanted digging or hiding. For dogs with a particularly strong drive to dig and bury, creating a designated digging area can be an excellent solution. A sandbox or a specific part of the yard can be set aside as a safe spot for digging. By encouraging the dog to use this area, perhaps by burying a toy or treat in the sandbox and allowing the dog to uncover it, owners can channel the behavior in a way that is both satisfying for the dog and non-disruptive to the household. These strategies not only help manage the behavior, but also ensure that the dog's natural instincts are respected and accommodated. Instead of suppressing the desire to bury, owners can redirect it into healthy and constructive outlets that keep both the dog and their environment happy. The habit of burying bones, toys, or treats is a fascinating behavior that serves as a direct link between modern dogs and their wild ancestors. What may seem like a quirky or playful act is, in fact, deeply rooted in survival strategies developed over thousands of years. Whether as a means of protecting resources, a way to entertain themselves, or an emotional outlet, this behavior reflects the adaptability and instinctive nature of dogs. Even in domestic settings, where food and safety are assured, these instincts persist and adapt to the environment. From digging holes in the yard to hiding toys in sofas, dogs continue to express behaviors that harken back to their wild heritage. Managing or redirecting this behavior when necessary allows owners to support their dog's natural tendencies while maintaining harmony in their homes. Ultimately, the act of burying is a reminder of the complex and fascinating history of dogs, bridging the gap between their role as wild predators and their current status as beloved companions. It's a behavior that speaks to their intelligence, emotional depth, and enduring connection to their ancestral past.